Start breathing here. Bring a sense of groundedness. Allow this to be a practice of exploring your sense of adaptability. Today's practice will be a non-traditional, even more so than usual, vinyasa practice. So bring a sense of curiosity and playfulness. Also a sense of humor helps. And begin to shift the weight. You could open your eyes if you want. More forward onto your toes and notice where the muscles engage there. And then shift the weight back and lift the toes. Do that a couple more times. It could be nice to explore different parts on the foot, on our feet, to find our center. 2 more times. 2 more times. And let's settle at your center, somewhere in between the front of the foot and the back of the foot, towards the toes, the heels, somewhere in the center where you can find a sense of length and upliftedness, an inner body brightness. Again, you could close your eyes if you like, relax your shoulders. With each inhale, sending the breath down into your pelvic bowl, down into your feet. Maintain that sense of groundedness. On the exhale, the pit of the abdomen comes in and up, bringing you a sense of lightness from the inside out, back of the skull, nice and long. 3 more times, 3 more full, not forceful cycles of breath. Relaxing the hinges of the jaw and the corners of your eyes. And you can keep your eyes closed or keep them softly gazing at one point. Slowly releasing the hands and wrap them around the sides of your body. Give yourself a hug. Nice to acknowledge that you have the strength and enthusiasm to show up on your mat today. And now invite in a more it's more three-dimensional now. So we still have the awareness of the breath going up and down, but now breathing into the sides and the back of the body. 3 full breaths here. Inhale, allow the ribs to accommodate the expansion of the lungs as you feel your ribs reaching into your palms, expanding into your palms. Everybody, please mute yourselves, but if you have a question, you can definitely unmute yourself and ask what you need to ask. And slowly open your eyes if they were closed, release your arms by your sides. Let's bring the toes forward and the feet, place them about hip width distance apart. And we'll start off with some mobility for the feet. The next 10 minutes will be more mobility, and then we'll get into strengthening. Our feet are our foundation for the majority of the day, so let's show them some love. So you're going to take your right foot forward a little bit and turn your right toes in. So you're going to rotate from the upper thigh bone inter-rotated, already embracing awkward, and begin to lean onto the outer edge of your right foot, and your hips might move a little bit to the right and then to center. Yeah, so you might feel some stretching, lengthening sensation on the outer ankle, maybe a little bit on the outer hip, only going as far as friendly and fair for your body. Often less is more. 2 more times. And let's switch sides. Switching sides, right foot back, left foot forward, turning. The rotation comes from the inner top of the left thigh bone and then leaning onto the outer edge. Feel what that feels like to switch your standing position in your stance. 2 more. And bring it to center. Now face the long side of your mat. So you could face center and bring your feet out wide. Now we're going to get more into a little bit into the inner thigh and to the inner ankle. And you keep your hands to your hips. You may need to shorten or lengthen your stance. Bending your left knee, so bring a little bit more weight to the left side And you're going to lift the outer edge of your right foot only as far as comfortable for your right knee and your inner thigh, and then place the outer edge of the right foot down, same side. So we'll do about 3 to 5 times here. You can have closed eyes or soft gaze, really tapping into the subtle this first part of class, and remembering and acknowledging that often less is more, especially if you're approaching new ways or remembering older ways of moving from the past. Let's switch sides. About 3 to 5 times. You might notice one side's a little different than the other, or a lot different. That's okay. Each side has its story, maybe past injuries. The good practice of meeting yourself where you are and slowly releasing. Toe heel your feet together. You can stay there or face the shorter side of the mat again. Now we'll get more of the top of the foot, so the top side and the top middle. Right foot back. You're not stepping it too far back, just a little bit. On the top of your foot, bending both knees, and now let your right heel splay out to the side. So you might feel more on the outer ankle, and begin to do a little bounce, bouncing even with the arms. Relax at your sides for 4. Also creates a little heat. 3, 2, and 1. Finding your center. Now, heel up to the sky. You could always use a wall for balance if you need. Bend both knees and bounce a bounce. Also a nice way not only to warm up the top of the foot, but also remember your sense of resiliency, bouncing back, and slowly make your way to center. Shake it out if you need. You might have noticed your standing leg was firing up pretty good to keep you stable. Top of the foot back. Let the left heel splay out to the left. Bend both knees. Bouncing bounce. Bouncy bounce. Feeling some muscles you may not have been aware of in a while. 3, 2, and 1. Finding your center. And now left heel straight up to the sky. Bend both knees. Relax the shoulders. Bounce here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Finding center. Do whatever you need to do to shake out that standing leg. So the standing leg, make sure you're not dumping into that outer standing hip. Reach your right foot forward, right foot hovers. Try to isolate the movement in your ankle. Circles here. So the toes are not leading the party. They could be active, but they're not leading the party. Switch directions, other way. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing. You need to, with a love to that standing leg, and we'll switch sides, circle around. About 3 to 5 times. So we're also increasing or expanding our awareness of how we move in space, proprioception. Especially during these challenging times. We're all trying to find our footing and to adapt. Slowly bring it back to center rather than trying to, quote unquote, find balance and stay in a stagnant place. We're cultivating our ability to respond. Knee circles. Bend the knees, hands could be to the hips. And this is more for the knees and the ankles, less about the hips. And you may be rolling onto the inner and outer edges of your feet. You might feel this in your ankles. One more time this direction, and then the other direction. Embrace and awkward. 3, 2, and 1. Standing. Right knee lifts up, firming that outer left hip in. Internal and external rotation of your right thigh bone in the hip socket. And if it's okay for you, you could begin to speed it up. Yeah, it's silly and awkward. It's supposed to be. Relax your face best you can. You can always hold on to a wall, that standing leg. Working hard to stabilize you for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly release. Switching sides. This side might be different. Kind of reminds me of like doing the twist. I mean, if you do this, you keep that standing leg stable, outer hip in for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing. Again, this time we're going to do something similar, but with a straight leg. So straighten your right leg in front And explore extra rotation from the upper thigh bone, right toes turn out, and then internal. Do that a couple more times and notice which direction or which movement you feel more stuck in. Stay in either internal rotation or external rotation. Now begin to circle, make little circles. So if internal rotation is more challenging for you, do your circles in that position and switch directions. So if you started with internal rotation, keep with the internal rotation. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly bring it to center and switch sides. So first, straighten the legs, flex the foot, internal and external. Might be different on this side. Notice which part of the movement you feel more stuck and stay there and circle around. Circle. Circling around. And now switch directions, other way. Around. Another 3, 2, and 1. Slowly release. Shake it out if you need. Feet hip width apart and parallel. Hip circles. You've been probably wanting to do that for a long time now. Nice rinse cycle. Rinse it out 2 more times in this direction. And then switch. Other way. Around for 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring it to center. Keep the hips forward. Keep the arms floppy and noodly. Spin it or sway side to side. Try to keep your hips forward and allow this twisting action to be relaxed, especially in the shoulders and the face. For 3, mindful of any walls and maybe lamps if you're at home around you. 2, and 1. Let's bring it back to center. So settle to center. Now we'll do a little bit more for the lower back. Be mindful here. Keep the knees slightly bent, belly and ribs soften in. Lean on over to your left to start off with. You can let the head hang as well. And once you reach the point, your furthest point where you could hang, then allow the right side of the chest to turn towards the ground. We're not going to hinge at the hips for this one, but belly and ribs in. So you may feel a little bit of stretching in the lower back. Roll it to center and roll it to the right and make your way on up. Head's the last thing to come on up. One more time on the same side. So you're side bending to the left until you need to turn the right side of your chest towards the ground, to center, and bring it all the way on up. Let's switch sides. Lean to the right, softness in the knees, turn the left side of the chest towards the ground, then to center, trying to isolate the movement, not by hinging at the hips, more the lower back, upper back. One more time. So you're still strong through the legs, grounded through the legs, receptive in the inner body. This time, or rather the upper body, this time we're going to go backwards. We're going to reverse it. So you're going to still lean to the left and then a little bit back, just a little bit. Don't overextend yourself. To the right and then come back on up to center. This way always feels awkward for me. To the left, back a little bit, just a little bit. Just a little bit, up to center, and other side. We're warming up with slower, maybe smaller movements, but very effective in helping us be aware of the space around us and the ways that we may need to move more often. Okay, so now I'll do a little bit more for the upper back. We did a little bit for the lower back, now the upper back, like cat-cow but standing. So softness in your knees and round to the upper back. Now when you do that, melt your chest back and your ribs back. So imagine your ribs are disappearing to the back body, and then turn your thumbs back, palms. Yeah, really super awkward. Let the head hang. And as you inhale, you could straighten the legs if you want, or keep them bent. Come into more like a cow. Open the chest. Let the chest lift up. Yeah. And then do the opposite again. Into your cat internal rotation of the upper arm bones, and then external rotation, open up. 3 more times. Looking inward, and then outward. Notice which one feels more like home for you without any judgments or expectations, right? One's a little bit more inward, privacy, introvert. Another is more extrovert. This could be a nice way to check in on how you would like to go about your day off the mat as well. One more. And let's bring it back on up to center. Keeping your feet wherever is comfortable stance, arms out to the side. I love this one because it's kind of like belly dancing. Isolate the rib cage side to side. If you want to do something cool with your arms too, you can. Why not? If you want to bring something more fluid to it, bring a little bit more shoulders. Just please make sure you're isolating more of the rib cage. For 3, 2, and 1. Now keep it center, make light fists. I know we're not even holding anything up, but I already feel my arms beginning to shake a little bit here. You can always release them down. We're going to put those movements together, those 4 movements. So as your ribs come to the side, do the cat back, ribs to the left, lift the chest. Do that about 3, 5 times, one direction. Don't worry about making anything perfect. All about exploring and process. Yes, you might find that your hips want to help you out here. Tell your hips, it's okay right now. Let the upper body's turn. And 3 to 5 times. The other way. Yeah, so we're exploring and acknowledging the places and spaces that need a little extra care. After your last round, let the shoulders go. Let's get to the head. Turning your head right to left a couple times. And have your eyes open for this one. The muscles of the head follow the direction of your eyes. Try to keep your hips and your chest facing forward. Let's meet center, tilting your left ear to your left shoulder a couple times, and then to the right, side to side. 2 more times, each direction. And let's put it all together. You could add in a light circle, rolling the head only as far as comfortable, especially when you go back. That's 3, 4 times each direction. Really acknowledging the movement of our joints, right? Our human movement possibilities. Let's bring it to center, shoulders. Straight right arm, you can make a light fist, straight. So best you can, keep it straight. And without the chest turning to the right, make big circles with your arm. You might find that your chest wants to go with the ride. Try to isolate the movement in the shoulder joint. Keeping the elbow straight for another 3, 2, and 1. Switch directions. So we'll do about 6 to 8 circles each direction. And you might find the muscles of the back body, maybe even the front of the body, firing up. Relax your eyeballs, relax your space, even though we're doing mobility and strengthening best you can. Maintaining a soft space throughout the practice. Good. And then bring it to center. The right arm's going to be center, and you're only going to circle to the midline. So try not to have the right arm go to the right. So you're going to bring it up to the sky, cross to the left, down, and right in front. Now you may feel more of the muscles of the chest on the right side firing up. And now switch, other direction. We'll do about 5 to 8. Around. And we'll meet center. Shake it out if you need. Let's switch sides. Light fist. Squeeze the left arm towards straight. Circle around. Best you can so the chest is not turning to the left. Again, this side might be super different. Super different. About 6 to 8 circles each direction. It's all good. We all have areas, spots in the circle that may be a little bit more sticky. And allow this to be an inquiry rather than an inquisition. Just information. Make sure you got 6 to 8 times each direction. And bring it to center, left arm straight in front, bring it to midline, and then pass midline to the right. Circle it down, bring it straight up. You could bring it up and cross your midline. You don't have to make anything perfect. As long as you're crossing midline, you get about 5 to 8 each direction. You may feel the muscles of the front of the chest firing up. Make sure you get both directions around. Good. After your last round, let's bring it to center. Nice. Shake it out. Now for the wrists, before we do any weight bearing today, like a little Karate Kid-like movement. Light fist. And you're going to bring the knuckles down as you lift the fist up and then down. Facing the fence. Karate Kid. Down and up. That's the way to describe it. As long as you know Karate Kid. 5 more times. This is a great movement to do if you're at the computer, if you're working at a desk. You could take some breaks for this kind of movement to even things out. If it looks cool. And 1 more. Now let's bring it to center. Keep those elbows bent and move the wrists side to side. Side to side. You can even make it more like fluid. So as the hand knuckles move inward, the wrist moves outward, and then the opposite for 3, 2, and 1. And then bring it to center. You could free the hands, and then we're going to circle through the elbows. I feel like this is like a hocus pocus kind of move. Hocus pocus. 3, 2. You might not have realized your elbows could do this. 1, other way. For 5, 4, 3, 2. We have 1 more for the hands. Slowly release. The hands flip, palms forward, thumbs out, fingers down. And we'll roll through the fingers, pinky in, looks very magical too, pinky in all the way to the thumb. Roll it around, palms up, and start with the thumb. If you don't remember which one it is, it's okay. And then you turn it inside out, palms up, a couple of times like that. Your own movement, as long as you feel like you're moving in new and interesting, silly ways. We'll do 1 more round and around. Oh yeah, feels so good on my wrist after being at the computer more than usual for me. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. All right, we got a lot of joints now, a lot of mobility. Let's get some strengthening going on. So some pockets of fire. We're going to do squats. We're going to do different variations of squats today. You can use your blanket at any time. I might go get it in a little bit. If your heels are lifting up and you need more groundedness. We'll start with the feet parallel. Reach the arms forward, palms up. And as you exhale, come into a squat as far as you can without the heels lifting up. For me, it is not that far today. And then inhale, press to the heels. I also could take a blanket underneath my heels and come down further. As long as you're going as far as you have something to press your heels into. Keep doing that. I'm going to grab myself a pillow to bring the ground closer. Meet my running feet where they are. And up. Let's do about 4 or 5 more. So if your heels stay on the ground, you can come down even further. Make sure you're breathing. 2 more. A little bit different shifting gears from the mobility work. Allow your breath to accommodate that. And we'll meet center. All right. feet wide now, feet wide, toes out. So we're coming into not a complete horse stance, but very close, but adjust your feet further away or closer together if you need. Arms straight and lower down with a long spine. Palms up, inhale. Exhale and lower. Pressing through the heels, pressing through the outer edges of the feet. So we'll do about 6 to 8 more for those of you who are hoping for a little elevation of the heart rate. Here we go. You can always feel free at any point to do less or more. Always meeting yourself where you are. Make sure you're pressing to the heels and only lowering as far as that you have control to support your joints. And slowly release, bring it to center. You may need to bring the heels in a little bit more, similar position. Bend the knees, this time bring the hips back and bring your hands onto the ground or maybe a chair or a couch, coffee table. Fingertips face the same direction as your toes. And let the hips go back and now come into a halfway lift, like a halfway lift here. A little bit more fire, keep the back of the skull in line with your sacrum. Breathing here for another 4, 3, 2. We're going to stay the same in the lower body. 1, this time let the head go. You can fold forward, the hips may lift a little. And sweep your arms in front of your shins and back. Back of the hands to be on the ground. Or if it's, your place, you could clasp the hands. I'm going to let the back of my hands rest, palms facing up, and breathe. Press to the heels. Let the head go and the spine go as much as you can. For 3, your quads and butt might be talking back to you. 2. And 1, slowly begin to spin your heels back, toes forward, straighten the legs. Maybe sway like seaweed at the bottom of the sea. Rinse cycle. And belly flies in and up. Make your way on up to center. Nice. 1 cleansing breath here. Sweep the arms up. Inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands down through center. All right, let's bring the heels together now. So similar like squatting positions. We're going to squat down. So heels together and toes will be out. Bring your arms out to the side again. And the same thing. The heels press together, but the lift, and only lower far down as you have control. Try not to have the booty go back. So you're going to bring, like you're sliding your back down a wall. And then palms up, come back on up. It's all interesting and it's all good to dance. We are here to dance. And up. Let's do 6 to 8 more of those. Own breath, pressing the heels together. Only going as far down as you can maintain control. I've been keeping my heels up the whole time, but you can bring the heels down as you come up. Get that sense of groundedness. Press the heels together best you can throughout the movement. And 1 or 2 more. All good to dance. At any time you can use a chair, countertop, wall for support. I get kind of addicted to these. And then come back on up and relax. Bring your feet out wide now. The toes are turned slightly out. Give yourself a hug. So cross one elbow on top. You can change anytime you like. Relax the shoulders. This is going to be a similar movement that we just did with the knees going out to the side, but with only one side. For this one, extra awareness, only go as far as is good for you. Okay, so you're going to first lift your right heel and keep the sole of the left foot on the ground. Begin to bend the right knee, just like we did with the heels together, only as far as you can maintain control. It might not be that much. Only as far as you can maintain. And then press down, lift up, heel down. And then we'll switch. Lift the left heel, bend the left knee, lower, and come back on up. Okay, this time we're going to stay on the right side. So lift the right heel and do a couple times. I say 3 to 5 times you could explore. Just the right side. Just the right side. Good, yeah, best you can. Everybody soften your eyeballs. Only as far as is good for you. No way do we want to force anything, right? Especially if you're really flexible, make sure you're maintaining control throughout. We'll switch directions 3 to 5 times. Left heel. And you may have to change. You may have to change your stance. You may have to shorten your stance. And it's okay for our knees to go past our toes. It happens every time we walk upstairs. If it's uncomfortable for you or painful, that's another thing. But sometimes you hear that you should never let your knees go past your toes, but it happens every time you walk up the stairs. And we'll meet center. Let's do a little bit of cleansing breath here. Release the arms, inhale, and exhale down the center of the body. Hands to your hips. A little bit more horse-like stance, but with the toes slightly more forward. Bring your hips more down, okay? And keep the spine nice and long. And now push the ground down with your hands. Breathe here, a couple cycles of breath. For 3, 2, 1. Keep the lower body the same. Lift the air up. Inhale to your face. Exhale, push away from your face. Inhale, bring it in. Keep the knees bent. Exhale, push it down. Come in and out of the pose as much as you need. Keep doing that. Push away. Bring it in. And press down. One more round. Lift up. Press away. So you're feeling your boundaries here, feeling them out. And lower down. And lift all the way on up. Woo! Shake it out a little bit if you need. And we'll come into something more classic, just a little bit. Triangle pose. So start with your feet. If you want just a guesstimate, you could always adjust ankles underneath your wrists. Turn your right toes to the right. Press down through the right foot like you're pressing the pedal to the metal with your right foot. And feel the front of your right thigh engage. Finding your triangle pose. Right hand could be light on your right shin or a block or even a chair. Press down through the legs. So from the 2 halves of your pelvis, press down through the legs and then spin your ribs to the left. And only after you've been spinning from your ribs and your chest, if you like, looking up at your left fingertips. Make sure the twist is not coming from your neck. And keep the right shoulder back. Breathing here for 3. Pressing from the 2 halves of the pelvis to the feet. 2. And 1. Bring yourself on up to standing. Bring your feet parallel to each other and slightly more in.
Your video is gone.
Oh, thank you. Bring your toes slightly in. Your toes slightly more in. And bring your arms out to the side. Now bend your left knee and take your right hand on top of your left foot. Right toes to the back of the mat. Bend your left knee a lot. Bend your left the other way. Yeah. Bring your booty back. Now bring your right shoulder over your right wrist. Right shoulder over your right. Good. And then left arm up and spin your ribs to the sky. And if you want, look up at your left fingertips. Breathing here. Maintaining length through your spine. For another 3. And 2. Fixing something on the phone. And 1. Slowly bring it back on up to center. And now we triangle to the left. Bring your toes in, or left toes to the left. And hinging at the left hip, long spine. Press down through the feet from the 2 halves of your pelvis, finding your triangle pose. Good. And if you find that your bottom is reaching back and your heart collapsing forward, slide your left hand higher up towards your left knee. Good. And then take the middle of your left feet down and under, and then lean back, spin your ribs up. Nice. Good. And your head is the last thing to twist, if that's where you're going. You could also look forward. Strong to the legs. Again, from the 2 halves of the pelvis, press down. through the legs for 3, 2, and 1. Here, come on up. Here comes Fluffy the cat. Bye, Fluff. And come back on up. Now bend the right knee. Right knee and arms to the sides, and take your left hand to your right foot. Left fingertips face to the right. And left shoulder over your left wrist, and then turn towards the ceiling. Press to the outer edge of the left foot like crazy. And again, spin your ribs to the right. And again, left shoulder over left wrist. Breathing here. For another 3, 2, and 1. Press the legs and come all the way on up to standing. Hands to your hips. Keep your feet parallel to each other. And now, yay, we will hinge at the hips. So lengthen through the spine. Inhale. And as you exhale, fold forward. Now take the hands down to the ground wherever you would like to place. Hi. And bring awareness to where the weight is on your feet, where the weight is in your feet. Try to distribute the weight more evenly between front and back. Very often the hips will sink back and the back of the knees may feel strained. Maybe you need to shift the weight a little bit more forward and activate the legs. Now stay here, keep hugging those inner thighs in towards each other, and like the heels are hugging in towards each other. Let the spine relax and the head hang. You're going to take your arms straight out in front, circle them more to the side, and flip onto the back of your hands. Relax your shoulders, still squeezing those legs. All right, so the legs are supporting the lower back, so the upper body can relax. So strong through the legs, finding the balance between strength and surrender. For another 3, 2, and 1. Hug the inner thighs and the inner heels in towards each other. Bring your hands to your hips and come all the way on up to standing. Nice. Toe heel your feet in towards each other. You may want to shake it out a little bit. Let's step to the original front of the mat. Place of familiarity. Feet hip width distance apart. We'll take one flow down. Sweep the arms out to the sides. Inhale. Exhale, hands to your heart. Hinge at the hips, soft knees folding forward. Coming into a halfway lift. Inhale. And then exhale, hands on the ground. Step it back into plank pose, into a high push-up position. High push-up position, breathe here. Spread the fingers wide. Yeah, good. Press to the heels. Feel the upper body working and ask the rest of the body to work or help out just as much. Thighs, belly. Make sure your head's not hanging below your shoulders. And then downward facing dog. Adjust your stance however you need to so that you can press down through your inner hands. Very often we press or dump into our outer hands. So adjust your stance however you need to press to the inner hands as well. In between the thumb and the first finger. Let your head hang for another 3. Hands and feet press down, spine lengthens. 2. And 1. Slowly releasing your knees to the ground. We'll do a little bit different flow for the upper body today. I'm going to bring the hips back. You can watch first. I'm going to bend my elbows wide and like skim the floor as I come forward into an upward dog variation, but with my toes curled under and my knees stay down. Good. And keep the elbows slightly bent so that your shoulders can like hang on a hanger. And then hinge at the hips. Bring it back. Inhale. Exhale. And we'll do that more flowy at your own breath. Bend the elbows to the side. You can inhale, skimming the surface. Make your way into your up dog. And as you exhale, hinging at the hips, folding inward. 2 more times, rhythm of your own breath. Bend the elbows to the side, skimming the ground, and pressing up, and bringing the hips back. Couple more. Let's do 1 more. Rhythm of your own breath. Up, and bringing the hips back. Downward facing dog. Downward dog into rolling wave. Lift your heels, drop your tailbone, roll through the spine, articulate through the spine, keep those toes tucked. When the shoulders come over the wrist, press the heels back, press the hands down, let the hips lower, and open up. Same way you came in, tuck the chin, upper back like a cobra hood. Ribs disappear upward into the body, and rolling it back. Now lift the heels, bend your knees, and step your right foot forward. Bring the back knee down. You may need a pillow or blanket, and slide it slightly more forward so the left knee is directly underneath the left hip as you lift up. Now hug front foot and back knee together and lift your frontal hip points. So you may feel a little bit more sensation in the front of the left thigh. Breathing here for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly release enough that you could turn your right toes out to the right. You may need to adjust here. The right knee will go over the right toes, but of course, if this doesn't feel good for you, readjust. I'm going to let my hips lower down with control and let my heart lift. The head could go slightly back, so make sure you're not straining the back of your neck. For 3, 2, and 1. With control, coming back on up. Lower your hands down and step back to downward facing dog. Rolling wave, lift your heels, drop your tailbone, roll through the spine. As shoulders come over wrist, press the heels back, let the hips lower. Open up to the chest, so press hands in the balls of the feet down. Same way you came in. The toes are curled under, drop the chin, rolling through the spine with control. And then lift your heels, bend your knees, step your left foot forward, back knee down, but slide it in as much as you need to, right knee directly below your right hip. Good, and a hug, front foot to back knee, hug them together. Lift your frontal hip points and tone the bottom fibers of your right glute. So you might feel a little bit more sensation, front of the thigh for 3, 2, 1. Release enough that you're still stabilized, but you can turn your left toes to the left. Allow the hips to lower. And for me, I know I do this in my lower back. I need to lift my frontal hip points, which may mean I don't look like I'm coming down as far, and that's okay. I feel the stretch in the front of the thigh more. Lift the back of the heart. You can open the palms up, open your wings for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing. Hands to the ground, downward facing dog. Okay, so now I'm going to lift my heels, bend my knees, keep looking back at your right foot. And then right foot, right knee comes to the outside of the right shoulder, right foot forward. Keep looking back as you do that. And then once you do that, look forward. So keep looking back until the right foot lands. So it will hover, lands, and then look forward. And then the same thing, step it back, bend the knees. Keep looking back as you bring your left foot forward, let it hover, left foot down, look forward. And we'll do that 2 more times. Look back, so you're like rounding it back. Bend the knees, keep looking back, bring the right foot forward, let it hover, land, and look forward. Good, nice. Curling inward, so it's like a rolling wave transition between the lunges. But keep looking back until the foot comes forward. If you need to, you can take your left hand to left ankle to close the space. Okay, right foot's gonna come forward, same way. And then the left, looking back, make your way into a squatting position. You can take a couple of blocks underneath you if you need. We'll do a little flowing squat here. Come in and out as you need towards a variation of kind of like wild thing. You can watch me first. I'm going to take my right hand back, fingertips face back, maybe even a little bit more to the left. Lift the hips and roll open And then I bring my weight forward into squat, and then left hand back. And then lift the hips. Keep the heels down. Stay grounded through the legs and bring it forward. Yeah. So keep with that. Or there's also an option to meet yourself where you are. You're going to circle all the way around. So a back bend if you like. Stay in your heels and bring it forward. Gotta be careful of the wall. Bring it back. Staying in your heels. Bend the elbows. Bringing your right hand down and circle around. Good. So they'll do that 1 or 2 more times, whichever variation you like. You need to really stay grounded through your heels. So if you're not going all the way back bending, then don't circle all the way around, just come back forward. Make sure you got about an even amount. And we'll meet forward fold, toes forward, weight explore, heels back. Oh, sway that out, rinse cycle. And make your way onto your hands and your knees. Nice. Cross at your ankles. Make your way onto the bottom. Whew. First time seated in the class today. We're going to start off in a variation of cow face. So crossing your right knee over your left knee. If that's not accessible to you, right shin in front of left in a cross-legged position. You can take your hands to your soles of your feet. And we'll do a little crossing and folding at the same time with the shoulders. So my right knee will be on top. I'll take my left shoulder to my left knee, turn to the right, let the head fall wherever you like, and then inhale, come back on up. And right shoulder to right knee. A little twist and fold, maintaining length. Om breath, side to side now, alternate. Alternating side to side. Let your head and shoulders dance with the movement, with the breath. One more time. Let's meet center. You can keep your hands on your feet as you lengthen to the spine, hinge at your hips, fold forward. If you want, you can bring your arms forward, palms up, however is comfortable for you. Only going as far as you can keep your sitting bones on the ground or on a pillow or a blanket. Relax your face. Allow the breath to soften your back muscles mindfully from the spine in an outward width-like quality. Slowly come up onto your hands, bring yourself up. You could switch however you like, or you could bring your hands to the left, turn in a big circle around until magically the other knee is on top. And if it's not, move it however way you can. Hands to your soles of your feet. Inhale, and as you exhale, right knee to left shoulder, twist and fold. Ground down, inhale, come back on up. And left shoulder to left knee. Couple more times. Each direction. Anytime you can feel free to add something different if that's what your body's calling for. One more time, each direction. And let's bring it all the way back on up. You could stay here, fold forward, or reach the arms forward. Staying nice and grounded for your sitting bones. Three-dimensional breath like we did in the beginning of practice today. And slowly walk it back. Mindfully uncross your legs, straighten your legs forward. Jello legs, internal and external rotation, wobble them out. A variation of forward fold, we'll start with the knees really bent, heels on the ground. So you can make contact with your belly and your ribs, hold on to the bottom side of your toes and the balls of your feet. Inhale, press your hands down into your feet to lift and lengthen your spine. So this will be more for your back. And exhale, fold, elbows wide. You can stay here for a couple breaths or inhale, lift up, slide the heels a teeny bit further away from you. And then do the same thing. Inhale, exhale, long spine, folding inward. And you can do a couple cycles of breath in each position or slide the heels a little bit further away. And only go as far as you keep contact. Miss belly to thighs. Stay there. Check on something here. And relax your shoulders from your ears. Keep breathing. In a couple minutes, 3, 4. And slowly releasing. And bring your hands by your side, fingertips facing outward or forward. So either forward or outward, either legs straight or keep them bent. We'll do a variation of tabletop. This movement, press down through your feet, through your heels. And also before you lift up, bend the elbows a little bit so that you can lift your armpits up and lift your heart first. So make sure your heart is lifted, then press with the heels as you lift your hips. Yeah, breathing here for 3, head can be back if that's comfortable, 2, and 1, and slowly and mindfully as you can, releasing. Great, flex the feet, and then bring your heels a little bit further apart. Walk the hands forward and then reach the arms forward. Now, press the heels forward and imagine you're reaching your sitting bones to your heels. Begin to bring your tailbone more forward. So begin to round through your lower back and as slowly and mindfully as you can, try to keep your heels on the ground as you slowly roll yourself. Nice. Careful of any equipment behind you. Roll your cell phone down. Way to have control there. That was awesome. And then slowly release your arms to your side. Nice. Bend your knees. And for a moment, bend both knees, hug them into your chest. Bring your arms to your sides, lower your knees to the left. Out to about 3 full cycles of breath here. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your breath to settle. You enter more space of non-doing. Just as important, non-doing just as important as all that doing. Bring your knees to the center and to the right now. Relax your face. Bring your knees to the center. You could take a happy baby, or you could bring the soles of your feet together, knees out wide, and bring the feet closer in towards your face. Or you could bring the legs straight out wide if that feels good to you, or rockabye baby as you straighten one leg, lean to that side and switch. And slowly make your way to center. Short but sweet resting pose or meditation. You can end seated or extend the legs out. Take up a little bit more space or a lot more space than you're used to. Take up lots of real estate. Close your eyes. You are supported. Allow the ground to rise up and meet you where you are as you release your bones even more heavily below the earth. Soften from the inside out. Let the bones of your face be heavy to the back of your skull. Soften the space in between your ears. And then stay here as long as you're able to. If not, you could bring movement back to fingers and toes. Gently turn your head side to side. Gently bringing the knees in towards your chest. Big hug of gratitude for investing this time on your mat. We'll head over to whatever side you like. Pause there. Head's the last thing to come on up as you push yourself up to a seated position. Comfortable seated position. And then there's Fluffy in front of my face. And place your hands on your heart, or one on your heart, one on your belly, eyes to be closed or soft gaze. Think of one thing in your life that you are grateful for, no matter how big or small. And we'll end together one cleansing breath. First, empty out all the air from your lungs. Inhale through your nose, fill up. Keep the heart lifted, exhale out of your mouth. And as always, gratitude for practicing together. May it all be of benefit to us and everybody else around us. Namaste. Thank you for joining.